amazing Charlotte, and welcome to another beautiful, interesting and gorgeous tutorial, as you can see already. So in today's one, as always, I'm going to be taking you through a detailed, underline the word detailed, pattern drafting and sewing tutorial of this beautiful, gorgeous underbust corset gathered dress. You know, on this channel, there is no gatekeeping. I spill every secret you need to know about each tutorial, and I'm sure by now many of you know me for that. So drop some accolades in the comment section. So with that being said, guys, let's dive right into the business of the day. And to get started with this particular tutorial, for the placement of the pattern paper, this is going to be our vertical measurement, and then here the horizontal. So for all the vertical measurements, those are the measurements from the shoulder downwards. So I want to begin with the armhole measurements, which is 8 inches, the breast point measurement, which is 10, the underbust, which is 14.5, the half waist, which is 17, and then the actual blouse length, which is 24. And from the actual blouse length, I added an extra 3 inches, which automatically would give us the shoulder to the hip length measurements. Okay, so in case you don't have the blouse length, all you need to do is just measure from the shoulder to the hip and then come up by 3 inches. Okay, this is basically how you can get the last two vertical measurements. So I have that marked on the middle and then the other extreme end of the pattern paper, and I have those vertical measurements connected horizontally with straight lines, just as you can see middle. This is for the armhole, so I didn't mark it all the way to the extreme ends of the pattern paper. And these are the breast point, the underbust, the half waist, and then the blouse length and the shoulder to the hip length measurements. And then this is me marking them out or writing them out so that it's easier when I start my drafting. So for this extra length of the pattern paper, it's going to act as the gathered area of the dress. You can extend that if you want, but I'm not going to be extending it. I'm going to be extending the length on my fabric. So this is going to be acting as my center fold. So from here, I'm going to be measuring the shoulder measurement divided by 2, which gave me 7.5 inches. And then at this armhole length, I mark the same shoulder measurement divided by 2, and then I'm going to be connecting with a straight line just like so. So after that, I come down from this point by 0.75, that's 3/4 of an inch, and then from that 3/4 to the length of the armhole, I divide by 2, and then this is the midpoint. So at this midpoint, I'm going to be coming inward by 1/2 an inch. So I get that, and I'm going to be connecting the armhole, but to connect that, I'm going to be dividing the bust measurement by 4. So the bust measurement divided by 4, whatever I have that marked at the armhole length, and that's going to act as the 3 points for my armhole curve, which is this. So after that, the next thing I'm going to be doing is to get the neck width measurement, which I use 3 inches for that. You can use wider than that if you want. And then for the neck depth, I use 7.5, and you can use deeper than that if you want. So I have those points connected from the neck width all the way to the neck depth, and then I'm going to be connecting the shoulder slants to the base of the neckline. So the next thing, from this center fold, I'm going to be dividing the breast distance measurement into 2, and whatever I have that marked from the center fold of the paper. That is the nipple to nipple measurement. So I have that marked all the way from the breast point down to the shoulder to the hip length measurement. And at the underbust length measurement, I'm going to be marking 1 inch between the dot line. So to the left and to the right, I have 1 inch marked between the dot lines, and I'm going to be connecting that upwards to the breast point, just as you can see me do using the bottom of my curve. So I have that connected up to the breast point, and then coming down to the shoulder to the hip length measurement, I'm going to be marking 1/2 inch between the dot line, and then I'm going to be connecting with a straight line downwards from the underbust down to the shoulder to the hip length measurement. So that is it for the dot line. And next, I'm going to be dividing the body circumference measurement by 4, and for the bust, I already have that marked at this armhole area. So I come down to the underbust, I divide the underbust round measurement by 4, and then I add this dot allowance of 2 inches. I have that added to it. At the half waist, I divide the waist measurement by 4, and then measure the dot allowance, and then also I have that added. At the blouse length, I'm going to be dividing the hip measurement by 4, and whatever that gives me, I have that marked out, and then I also measure the dot allowance, and then I have that added to the measurements. So I'm going to be connecting all the way from the armhole to the blouse length measurement. You can see that at the armhole, I didn't place my ruler exactly at this breast measurement divided by 4. I came out by about 1/2 an inch, and that's because if I place it exactly at that point, the shaping is going to look funny, so I just have to make it look good by doing that. So at this breast point length, I'm going to be coming down by 1.5 inches. That is the difference between the half waist length of the front and the back. The front is longer by 1.5, so that excess is what I'm going to be marking downwards from the breast point measurement, and then I have that connected back to the dark line, just as you can see. And for the sweetheart shaping at the underbust area, so from the underbust, I'm going to be coming upward by 2 inches. So I have that marked from the underbust, and from that 2 inches, I'm going to be connecting back to the base of that at this point, just as you can see. So from that 2 inches, I have that connected up to this point. And with that, we have the sweetheart at the underbust. Because coming down to the blouse length measurement, to get our scallopy shape at that point, I have to fold my dark line together just like so. So I have that folded or closed up and then held down with the help of my tape, and from that point I measured the width, which gave me 10 inches, and then I come down to the shoulder to the hip measurement. I mark the same 10 inches. So I'm going to be dividing this 10 inches into 2. Okay, so I just get the midpoint and I have that marked. So from the blouse length, I'm going to be connecting with my curve root down to the shoulder to the hip like so, to give me the shaping at the center and then the side of the dress. So this is how the shaping goes. And for the cutting as well, this is how you go about the cutting, just like you can see me mark out. So to proceed with this pattern drafting, I'm going to be dividing the pattern paper into 2 so that I can draft the back pattern. So to draft the back pattern, I'm going to be using this side as the center fold. So from the center fold area, mark the zipper allowance of 1.5 inches, and then I'm going to be having that connected with a straight line, just as you can see. So this is the zipper allowance, and from this zipper allowance point, I'm going to be dividing the shoulder measurement by 2, and then I have that marked out just like I did while I was marking the armhole of the front. So I have the armhole length connected with a straight line just like this, and from this point I come down by 0.75, which is 3/4 of an inch, and from the 3/4 of an inch to the rest of the armhole length, I get the midpoint and I have that marked. So I'm going to be covering the armhole, but to do that, just like we did to the front, I divide the bust measurement by 4 and have that point. So those are the 3 points for my armhole, and I have that connected. So the next thing, I get the neck width of the back, just like I did to the front. I have that mark, which is 3 inches, but for the neck depth I used 1.5 inch for the back, so which is this, and I'm going to be connecting that. So for the zipper allowance, I connect it straight like so, and then for the rest of the neckline, I have it marked out, and I'm going to be connecting the shoulder slant, just as you can see. So from this our center fold line, and that's after the zipper allowance, I get the breast distance measurement divided by 2, and then I have that marked all the way from top to bottom. So, and I have that connected with a straight line all the way from the shoulder down to the shoulder to the hip length measurement. So for our half waist length of the back, remember I said that there's a difference between the length of the front and the back, so which is 1.5 inches. So this 1.5 inches we took out at the front, we are going to be doing the same thing to the back so that they are equal on the sides. So from the half width that we have marked out initially, I'm going to be coming up by 1.5 inches, and then I have that marked out just as you can see. So having done that, this 1.5 inch is going to be taken out, and with that we have this point as our new half waist length for the back. So while we have this as the half waist for the front, we have this as the half waist for the back. Okay, so at this new half waist length of the back, I'm going to be marking ½ inch between the dart line at this point. So between it I have that marked, and then I'm going to be connecting upward just as you can see. So I have that connected. Note that this dart we have here, it's supposed to match this one at this point. So if by the time we cut it out or fold, we can't do that right now because we have not yet separated the front from the back. So assuming we have separated that, we just have this point marked like so, and then we are going to be connecting the dart lines downwards just as you can see. And just like we already did to the front, we have the body circumference measurement divided by 4. We already have the bust at the armhole area, so we come down to the under bust area, we divide by 4. Whatever that gives us, we have that marked, and then we add the dart allowance, and then we have that marked as well. We come down to the half waist length of the back, we divide the waist measurement by 4. We have that marked. We also add the dart allowance, and we also have that marked. Whatever we have at this point will mark exactly on this point, because by the time we have it folded, it's going to give us exactly the same thing. So I just fold and I just have the other points duplicated at that point. So coming down to the blouse length, I also divide the hip measurement by 4 and have that mark. There's no that allowance at that point. So I'm going to be connecting all the way from the armhole down to the length of the blouse. So after I've done that, the hip measurement that we have at the blouse length, we are going to be marking the same thing at the shoulder to the hip length measurement. So I just come down and I mark exactly the same thing, and just like I did to the front, I get the midpoint, and then I'm going to be connecting the scallopy shape just as we did to the front already. So I have those points connected just like this, and with this our pattern is ready for cutting, except for the zipper bulge at the back, which I'm going to be doing later. So I start by cutting the lower part, just as you can see, that's the scallopy area. So I'm going to be cutting the front first by dividing the front pattern from the back. So now that I've separated the front from the back, I can now cut along the breast dart that I already marked out, and then I place it over each other like so, and then I have that held down with the help of a tape rule. So with that, you can see that the bust area is already giving its shape. Okay, so I come to the side and I'm going to be adjusting the side, as you can see, and with this adjustment I can proceed with the cutting. So I cut along the side and then through the armhole. And please guys, if at this point you haven't subscribed, please do well by hitting on the red subscribe button. So after that, I open up our dart allowance and then I cut along, just as you can see. You can see what I'm doing at this point. So after cutting out the dart, I cut along this our sweetheart cutting at the underbust. You can see by the time we are going to be holding it, you can see that the bust area is already coming out or giving that bust shape. That's exactly one of the secrets, you know, to this tutorial. So I cut along under the underbust, just as you can see. So this is what we have. So for this one, we are going to be holding it together. It's going to be just one piece together, and to achieve that, I'm going to be holding it down with the help of a tape rule at the back. So I just have that held down to give us one single piece of this particular piece of pattern. So this is what we have for the middle, and then this is the upper part of the front. And with this, I continue with the cutting. So I continue with the cutting of the lower parts of the pattern. So after cutting, this is what we have. We are not going to be discarding this. We are going to be using it for the gathered part of the dress. So for this, our darts at the front area, I just have that closed up, and then I keep that aside. And for the back, the half waist length that I said we are going to be holding together by the time we separate the front from the back, I just have that held down. You can also cut it out, but I just decided to hold it down with the help of my tape rule, and then I continued with the pattern cutting. So at this point, I'm coming back to the zipper bulge that I mentioned earlier. So to eliminate every form of zipper bulge, at the half waist length, I'm going to be coming inward by 3/4 of half an inch, depending on how deep the core area is, and then I connect upward and downwards just like so, and I'm going to be cutting that out, and that's also going to be affecting the other side of the zipper allowance, but that's going to be on the fabric. So I cut along that, and then for the dart, I'm not going to be taking it out. I'm just going to be stitching on the fabric, so I'm not going to be separating that. So after that, this is what we have for the front pattern, and this is what we have for the back pattern. So for this lower part of the pattern, that's for the gathered area, I just extend this our front part downwards like so. This is where the front stopped, and also the back, this is where it stopped. So I'm just going to be taking that out, or have it folded together just like this. Can you see that? So you can see what we have at the end of the day. So this is what the lower part of the gathered area is. I just have this shaped, so this is going to be acting as our center front. Okay, and for the length, I'm going to be extending that on the fabric. Okay, this is not the actual length. So the zipper allowance is going to be extended, and I'm going to be separating all these our scallopy points. So I measure this upper part and I get the same point measured marked at the lower part. I'm going to be doing the same thing to all the points, and then I have those connected vertically just like so. Okay, so at this point, you can see we have 3 divisions already. So for the front, this is the center front area. Remember, this place is going to be on fold. I divide it into 3. Then this side area of the dress, I also divide them accordingly. Okay, so I have those points divided, and then the zipper allowance area, I just extend it, and then I also have these points divided into 3 as well. Okay, so after that, I'm going to be marking all the points, all the divisions all the way down. So that is it for the back, and then for the side of the dress I also have that divided. I'm still going to be dividing these points. Okay, so this is the front. I also have those points also divided accordingly, just like I did to the other parts. So for the sides, you can see that they are bigger, so I still went ahead to separate or divide them, just as you can see, so that all the points are uniform. So I'm going to be slashing all this, and then I have them placed wide on my fabric. But first of all, I'm going to be dividing the 3 parts first before I cut the smaller pieces. So this is the first one, and then this is the side, and then we have the back. So we have the 3 parts. So I'm going to be cutting along this other small piece or cuttings, just like so. So I have all those cuts to give me several of them. So this is what they look like, and not to get confused, I'm going to be numbering them. So I have the back as 1, the center as 2, and the front as 3. So I'm going to be placing all this on the spread of my fabric so that I can cut accordingly. And with this, guys, we have come to the end of the pattern drafting and cutting of this particular dress, and I hope to see you in the sewing tutorial. And at the end of the day, this is what the beautiful dress came out looking. Very beautiful, classy, comfortable, elegant, all shades of beauty, guys. Can you see all the details? The beading is still going on at the scallopy area. So this is the underbust. This is what it looks like at this point, guys. Like we know, it's not a sleeveless dress, but by the time of editing, I haven't fixed the sleeve, but that doesn't change anything. You're going to be seeing the sleeve in the sewing tutorial. You can see how beautiful it looks also at the back. The fitting is just 101%. I absolutely love the fit and the look of this dress. Thank you, guys, and see you in my next one. Bye.